The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
All right, we're back on the Andy and Ari Show on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Our next guest is the co-host of the hit show out of Jerusalem, Tuesday Night Live. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm IsraelSportsRadio.com welcome to Jeremy Gimpel. Jeremy, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. So we want to get an idea of what your show is all about because part of the reason I wanted you on the program is I like the idea of Israel advocacy, and we do the same type of thing here, just in the sports direction. So tell us about your show for the poor suckers out there that haven't seen it yet.
Well, this is the Andy and Ari Show. So about 8 years ago, there was a Jeremy and Ari radio show on Israel National Radio. And the idea was we were, at the time, reservists in the Israeli army. And, we kept on reading all these newspapers about how terrible the IDF was. And we were in the IDF. We were in the IDF together. And we're like, how could it be that the world only sees us as these faceless oppressors? It's just not fair. We're like the most moral army in the world. The guys here in our unit are incredible. I mean, to me, it was like a vision of the prophets of Israel, where we had Jews from Ethiopia and Russia and North America, literally an ingathering of the exiles from the entire world. And we said, why doesn't the world see that side of Israel? And so 8 years ago, we had a radio show on Israel National Radio. And then 4 years ago, we said, you know what? It's time to take it up a notch. Why don't we try television? And we said, television, man, there's Al Jazeera, and there's CNN and BBC, and there's all this anti-Israel media. Why not try to get on cable, on satellite, in America, broadcast from Israel, and see what happens? So we started off 4 years ago, just two guys, two cameras, with an internet TV show. And today we're broadcast now in over 30 million homes in North America on cable and satellite TV.
Wow, that's truly amazing, truly miraculous. And you mentioned the IDF. I want to ask you about that because I understand that both you and Ari were in the military at the same time now. Correct me if I'm wrong, was Ari your commander or was it the other way around?
Other way around. I'm actually still his commander. We still serve about 20 days a year in reserve duty. And it's funny because, in real life we're best friends, but all of a sudden once a year comes around and I have the ranks.
Right.
So I get to boss him around, tell him to run, do push-ups. It's really great fun.
I'm sure it is. And I'm sure that gets joked around from time to time during the rest year. But again, you mentioned you guys are best friends. Now, and I actually bumped into Ari a few times. He lives in the Old City. Gave me lemonade on Friday before Shabbat a few times. So appreciated that. Is that also a big part of your guys' belief? You're talking about settling the land and props and everything. Ari lives in the Old City. And what part of Israel do you live in?
I live in Neve Daniel, a settlement in the Judean mountains.
Wow, okay. I was actually there a week ago on Friday. Very nice area. Now, Neve Daniel, a lot of people don't know this, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's still technically Jerusalem. Is that correct?
Well, we'd like to think of it as technically a part of Jerusalem. I can see the Temple Mount in the Western Wall from like 5 steps off of my home. If I go up the mountain right next to me, I can see all the way to the Old City of Jerusalem. So we're really like a stone throw away.
Yeah, on Friday, I was just shocked. I went with the Likud Anglos a week ago on their trip, and it was a lot of fun, great information, and I just had no idea Jerusalem was that big. When people say Jerusalem to me, usually they think Nachlaot town, Old City, and here I am. I take this 45-minute bus ride, a very nice area, very mixed and diverse area, and it's still Jerusalem, so quite amazing. Now, I've seen your show in person a few times. You guys have a great knack for booking very big guests. You've had talked a little bit of everybody. Who in your mind has been your favorite guest so far?
My favorite guest? Ooh, that's a tough one. I would have to say that the last time we were in America, we started taking the show across the country. And we said, why? We've been broadcasting from Jerusalem for 3 years. Why not season 4? We take the show to choice cities in America. So we were in Florida, and we had Jackie Mason on the show.
Wow.
And we were in Dallas, and we had a congressman on the show. And that congressman, although, we've had a lot of celebrities and a lot of, kind of like, high-profile guests, the congressman, not many people know who he is. But behind the scenes, he's probably the most pro-Israel congressman and being a politician in all of America. His name is Congressman Louis Gohmert, and he's not Jewish, but he's from Texas. And there's something about Texans, and he was so radically pro-Israel. It was phenomenal. It was so inspiring hearing, a non-Jewish politician from America with like a zeal for Zion that you see in a few rabbis here. It was unbelievable. So I think that was really my favorite guest so far. I mean, it was the most fresh because our last show was in Dallas. But right now, when you're hearing, that's really what comes to mind, is just kind of seeing how the show's been able to bridge gaps between Jews and non-Jews and religious and secular, and just kind of anyone who loves Israel just kind of finds a place in our show.
You know, it's funny about Texas because no matter where they sit politically, very blunt, very honest people, and you always know where you stand with them. Now, some of the other guests I want to mention, because I saw the show in person, you had Natan Sharansky in studio live, and you got to talk to him. So tell us what that was like. He went through so much hell, really, and just had this dream of coming to Israel. People thought it was never going to happen, and he did it, and he kept his faith, and ultimately refused it. Even towards the end, of course, they told him, walk straight on the bridge, and didn't do that. So refused it all the way to the end. What were your thoughts about interviewing Mr. Sharansky?
I mean, there's a few people in the world that, they're not people anymore, they're ideas. And Natan Sharansky is definitely that idea of, being locked behind the Iron Curtain in Russia, fighting for the dream of Zionism, years in the Siberian gulag, disconnected from the world, mobilized. I mean, without him even knowing, he mobilized, American Jewry to fight for the freedom of Soviet Jewry. I mean, he was such an iconic figure, and now to see him taking such a leadership role here in Israel and now in world Jewry, it was incredible. I mean, it's definitely a highlight. The guy's he's a giant.
You know, it was an amazing moment about a year and some change ago. I was at a football game, a playoff game between Jerusalem Kings, Jerusalem Lions, and we had in the stadium, at Kraft Family Stadium, Gabi Ashkenazi, head of the military at the time, his son Itai playing for the Lions, and Natan Sharansky was there as well, wearing a baseball cap of the Kings. And I thought, here we have Gabi Ashkenazi, a descendant from Holocaust survivors, and Natan Sharansky with everything he went through and all that hell, just standing there watching a football game in Jerusalem. It was, to me, truly miraculous.
It's incredible. I mean, there's something beautiful about sports in general. When you think of it, it's really like a very Jewish idea. I mean, sports really became a concept in Greece with the Olympics and, really making almost like a world movement of sports. And, with Hebrew, the word Greece is Yavan. And what is the word for Israel and Jerusalem in the Tanakh? It's Tzion. It's the same letters, Yud, Vav, and Nun, Yavan, but Tzion is a tzaddik before it. It's to take all of the beauty of the Western world, all the beauty of Greece, all the physical achievements, but then to add the righteousness of a Jewish values, of Jewish life to it. That's really what Israel represents in its ideal form. It's to take the beauty and wisdom and the innovation of the West and the ancient wisdom of the East, of our tradition, and to fuse them together in modern Zionism, and we create this incredible heritage of 4,000 years culminating in the modern state of Israel. So I love seeing the sports that are played in Israel. To me, it's like the best. I play on a softball team here in Neve Daniel, and we're terrible. We have a terrible, terrible team. We lose every single game. But every time I go out to play, it's just a pleasure.
We broadcast, obviously, a lot of the football games on IsraelSportsRadio.com, and it's a great thing to see. You touched what you said very well, that you have this sports concept going on, and the origins with everything is not necessarily Jewish, but then you have, in Jerusalem, these two teams play against each other. A lot of them are friends on and off the field, and at the end, they all shake hands, and a lot of them are in the military at the time, so they have their guns, and they're coming in from the Army. They dress, put on the uniforms, play, and then they go back out to defend the country's right to exist. So it is amazing that they get along, and there's a lot of friendships and bonds made through playing sports.
Well, let me tell you, if we're talking about football, my personal favorite team is, because it's my hometown here, are the Judean Rebels.
Yes.
I think they are the revolution that Israel's been waiting for. And I'll tell you why. Because on the settlers' team, the team of the settlers, the Judean rebels, I mean, it's from Ephrat and Neve Daniel and all kind of the outskirts of greater Jerusalem, they have Palestinians on the team. And like through the beauty and just like the camaraderie of sports, we really see like a real relationship being built. And to me, that's like the ideal of Zionism, is we kind of overcome things with a common goal and see like at individual level, like, listen, we can get along.